Let's do it.
Caesar, thank you so much for sitting down with me today on the Cole Memo. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell my listening audience where they can find you and your work online.
Awesome, Cole. Thank you so much, first of all, for having these conversations, right? For setting what I call these buffet tables of wisdom to cultivate a better future. Because that's what it's about. It's about sharing this wisdom that we have, whether by bringing on a guest or stuff that you do. So I just, first of all, wanted to applaud you for what you're doing,
Thank
applaud
you.
you for how you're present to what you do. And just, you know what I mean? Glad to be here, man. Honored to be on your show. Thank you very much for inviting me. Who am I? Oh wow, that's a bit of a long story. We'll keep it short. I used to be a producer at CNN for 25 years, and right before I got laid off, plant medicine came into my life, and all of a sudden, now next thing I know, year and a half, I'm an advocate, thought leader, for Generation Xers for people over 50, um, who want to know about microdosing but are scared to ask, don't know who to ask, or sort of whatever. That they could come to me. You know what I mean? If someone's microdosing and they want to tell their parents, hey. Obviously, they're not going to listen to their kids, but look, there's this guy who's talking about microdosing. He's about your age. He lost his job. I knew you lost your job. He's been divorced. I know you've been divorced. You know, why not sort of listen to him? So that's currently what I do. I do it through. I just launched a free ebook, "Cultivating Wisdom: A Guided Journey, Revitalizing Your Life Through Microdosing." I also have a platform, Microdosing Over 50, where I have some courses that people could sort of tune into and get some information about microdosing and really learn how to do this sort of A to Z. So a couple places people could find me. One, where I spent most of my time, Instagram, cultivating.wisdom, is a great place to find me because that's where I day share some of my story, bring some of what I've learned through life, talk about microdosing. So cultivating.wisdom on Instagram. And then of course, 50 microdosingover50.com. Is the place for people over 50 to go. And more importantly, what I've created, Cole, is what I want to become the lifestyle and apparel brand of um, this new psychedelic renaissance, right? Yes, thanks for showing the page. That is the page for people over 50. Actually, in the page, if you scroll down, that is my Instagram. If you scroll down, you get to see me, and then a little bit more down, you'll get to see the ebook. So you can get the free ebook. You can download it there. And again,
Perfect.
just showing people. But if you go to cultivatingwisdom.net, that's where really I'd like for people to land because we need to have these conversations the same way you and I are having this conversation, right? We need something to sort of celebrate the fact that we're using psychedelics in a responsible way. And all of this, Cole, came when my life was transformed. I felt that there was a need for someone to be able to say, hey, you know what? I'm microdosing, without it being trippy or tie dye or psychedelics. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I love tie dye. I really do. But for the message that I needed to get out there, which was, hey, I'm an older person. I'm not going to Grateful Dead concerts. I'm not getting high out in the woods. You know what I mean? It's sort of, I'm doing this responsibly. I'm doing this with intentions. I'm doing this because I've done some homework and I've done some research. So, that's where I am presently. I'm this thought leader for people over 50 for this new microdosing generation that people are curious and want to know about. So I just want to be that person that they could come and trust and get honest information and learn through my experience how microdosing changed my life.
Well, folks, cultivatingwisdom.net. We'll have the links in the podcast description for Instagram, everything that's been mentioned so far. I also just want to say if you're listening to the podcast right now and you'd like to watch it, check out the show notes as well. You can find all that and more. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Cole Memo. And I just, I'm interested to hear how this has changed your life because I think those are some of
Mhm,
the most
mhm.
impactful stories to capture and share.
Yeah.
And I thought that might be a good place to start because I figure that is what sent you down this path, right?
Or
You know,
this change, correct? Because I saw the change, right? I'm an advocate, I'm an evangelist because I saw the change myself. It happened to me. It happened to me because microdosing helped me reinvent myself at the age of 55. I mean, Cole, think about it. If you get, we were talking about before the show where you get to this age of 50, right? And when you get to 50, you look back and you go, there's 50 behind me. I know there's most likely not 50 in front of me, even with hacking and everything else, and they can cryo freeze me and I could come back and be 100 years old. Even then, I don't know. I don't know. 100 doesn't look comfortable with the people you see. So you get to that age and you start to think, well, what's left? Like, is it two? Is it 12? Is it 22? And what are they going to be? And usually, most people, like I was at that age, are sort of going through the motions. You know what I mean? I had a corporate job. It wasn't a high level executive top senior. You know what I mean? It was a regular run of the mill, 50-year-old, let's get this done job. On myself in that complacentness. This is it. I'll retire in 10 years and or 15 years and then whatever. And I hope I don't lose my job at CNN and maybe I'll win the lottery. And it's just sort of, it's almost like there's like hope is lost. Like we're just going through this and we're hoping we're not one doctor's visit away from saying, hey, you know what? We gotta cut you open or we gotta do whatever. And when plant medicine came into my life, and it was funny because at the time I think that everything in life is the relationships you have with them, right? People who have addictive tendencies, it's all about the relationship they have with whatever their addiction is, right? At the time, I had an incredibly bad relationship with cannabis. Like the cannabis controlled me. It had me by the balls. Get up, get high, go to work, get high, at work, get high, at lunch, get high. It was just this and I wasn't really getting high. I mean, it was at that point where it was just, and the plant medicine was like, okay, wait a minute, something else. You know what I mean? So at first it was this recreational curiosity, like, hey, wait a minute, what is this going to be? What is going to happen? But real quickly, as the my first real awakening, I get all these senses of things that happen in my minute. That's what my hands really feel like, and this is what it feels like to breathe. And all of a sudden I'm noticing that the trees have 10, 12 shades of green in them, and there's this sense of awakening. And as a journalist, I start to research what happened, like what really happened. And I realized that, wait a minute, they're using this as medicine. They're using psychedelics that's crazy. They're using it for PTSD, for anxiety, for depression. They're using it for substance dependencies through this thing called microdosing. And obviously, one of the intentions to microdose was change your relationship with cannabis. You got to change your relationship with cannabis. You have to, no matter what. But the other was, dude, you're going to lose your job at CNN. I don't know if you realize that, but it's going to happen. CNN just got bought out. You've been here 25 years. You know what I mean? You got a job that two interns can do. It's not, you're going to be a number on a spreadsheet in some office in New York with a whole bunch of dudes in suits. And they're going to be like, number 67? How long has he been here? How much is he making? No, sorry, bro. You're a great guy. Everybody, the security guards know when your birthday is, but you got to go. You got to go. And I tell people, if at that age, right, you lose what identifies you for, I mean, Cole, let's be honest. That's the first word out of my mouth was, I am a producer at CNN. That identified me. I'd been there for
Yeah.
25 years. That's what I did. That's who I was. And when that's just all of a sudden taken away from you because nothing you did, it's just the way you're just a number. You have a couple of options. One, you sit there in an active depression. Like, why did this happen to me? And if I would have bought my boss flowers on Mother's Day, maybe she wouldn't have. I don't know. You go through these things, or you sit in this storm of anxiety. Like, what's going to happen now, and what is it going to be? And that potentially could have been me if it wasn't for the microdosing. If it wasn't for the microdosing, I sometimes fear to think what would have happened in my life if it weren't for that. And the transformation was quick. The transformation was like, boom, okay, change your relationship with cannabis. Okay, what are we gonna do? Open up your mind. What else? Look, you're really getting the sense that this is changing you. How can you be part of this? How can you open your mind to what you can do? And right away it was okay, start an apparel brand and do something. And it was funny because my mom, who all my life had poked me, hey, start your own business, like do your own thing. Like, why are you behind the cameras? Why aren't you in front of the cameras? That was the change, that change of really being the authentic me, that me that wants to thrive, that me that wants to to people, that me that wants to hug people, that me that wants to sort of, make people feel like they're the most important person in the room because I want to listen to them. That's been amplified totally through the microdosing. It's helped me to be not my thoughts, but my conscious. Not that hamster wheel thoughts. Oh, this is gonna go and what happens to this? No, that consciousness of, okay, wait a minute. If we do this, there's a potential of this happening, that happening, and it just really opened me up to a lot of um enhancement in my mental cognitiveness, which we start to decline, you know what I mean, in an age. The creativity levels, there was no more doubts of, you know what I mean. No, it's more, okay, this is an opportunity, this is an opportunity to do something. So the change was there, the change. I see it in my journaling, I see it in the way I interact with people. I see it in the confidence I have in myself. And I see it in the faith I have in myself, and that true faith in me, which is it should be bigger than any faith in anything I should have.
Yeah. Yeah, something that you said that really resonated with me is like, you know, examining your relationship with cannabis through the use of microdosing. That really
Hmm.
hit home to me because
Yeah.
that's a lot of the thoughts that I have. It's like, maybe draw it back a little bit, or even, sometimes, Caesar, to be honest, like if there are tough times for me, sometimes it's not dialing it back, it's dialing it up. You know what I mean? So it can be the
Yeah.
other way around.
Mm, mm,
But
mm.
but sometimes, to your point, our subconscious can almost be masked, and you can either easily get into that habit, the hamster wheel habit,
Yep.
or you can, the worst part is you could not listen to your body, like to what it needs, so yeah,
Mm.
that got my
Yeah.
mind
And
going.
yeah. And I think it's the relationship cups with the ability to say and analyze, do I really need this at this moment? What are my intentions? Right? What are my intentions? Look, I'll be honest. It wasn't that I said I'm never going to smoke cannabis again. No, it was, I can say, not right now. Not right now. There's no intentions. You know what I mean? Sort of before, there was no intentions. What intentions are there to get up and the first thing is to get out? There is no. What are the intentions when you're literally at work and you're hiding somewhere inside the building? You know what I mean? Ripping on a vape. What are the intentions? There are no. You know what I mean? So it's, look. I tell people cannabis is a beautiful, beautiful plant. It can sort of make you feel things that inside, you know what I mean? For people who go through pain, it's a beautiful medicine, but they have intentions to use it. The situation is when it's like, there are none, and that's really, and it's not just cannabis. Look, it could be porn, it could be shoplifting, it could be cigarettes, it could be alcohol, it could be sugar. I mean, I know for a fact that I have to change my relationship with sugar. I have a bad relationship with sugar. There's moments where I don't even think about it, and yeah, let me eat something that's sweet instead of what are the intentions to eat it, right? And I think that when you can do that, when you can really, then you have full control over your own, what I call, look, there's this sense of consent. Like, you give yourself consent to take these medicines. You give yourself consent to eat that sugar, but you know you shouldn't. You know what I mean? So again, it's what consent are you giving yourself?
Yeah, something somebody said on my show recently, I think it was my episode with Charles Flanagan, if people want to check it out. He's
Hmm.
super into fitness, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with him or not, but he one of the things I was telling him that I struggle with as well is, maybe, I think it's sugar's definitely part of the equation, but
Yep.
it's like I just eat foods that aren't healthy, and the reason that I eat them is not, I mean, of course they're delicious, but it's also, there's this, like, he pointed out and helped me identify that I was like chasing nostalgia because I was eating foods out of my childhood, and it would like activate old memories, which is
Mm-hmm.
all good and
Mm-hmm.
well,
Mm-hmm.
but these foods are not healthy, like
Yeah.
pizza or
Yeah.
what have you. Um,
Cereal or things, yeah. Things that bring back childhood memories. Yeah.
yeah, and to your point, what he pointed out to me was that you have to almost like stop viewing food as an experience, which is kind of how I was viewing it, and view it as
Hmm.
fueling yourself.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm
I
saying?
talk, yeah, I talk about it in the course that I have, a little mini course on cognitive enhancement and creativity. That's part of it. Like the fuel that you put in your body is a major part of how your body's gonna, perform, how it's gonna feel. The book, The Body Keeps the Score, talks also about that, the importance of nutrient rich foods in your body and what they do and how they react. And especially look, when you're young, sometimes it's like, dude, it's easy. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go play a little basketball. I'll be okay. You know what I mean? I'm moving. I'm fit. I'm drinking water. It's not like I'm sitting down on the couch and eating pizza, right? So, but once you get older, it's like, okay, you really have to be more conscious. You have to be more conscious because the body's going to start to wear. It's going to start to wear. And if you don't have the proper fats, you know what I mean, the good amino fats in your body, your cartilage is going to break down. You know what I mean? If you don't have enough protein, your muscle's going to break down. So it's important. The nutritional aspect of life is really important.
Yeah, it's something I gotta keep leaning into and getting better about. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like
Do
you
you
say,
keep?
to
Do you
take
keep? Do you keep? And it doesn't have to. Do you keep a food journal or no?
no, no.
I mean, that's sometimes a good trick because it's like you're mindful of what you're putting in your body, right?
Hmm.
And does that mean that 4 ounces of coffee with 2.3 ounces of milk? No, you know what I mean. But at least that it's more about accountability,
Yeah,
right? That, oh, I had that Snickers bar. I got to write down. I had this. Oh shit, I had this Snickers bar. And next time it's like, well, I want to have the Snickers bar. Damn, but I'm gonna have to write it. I wanted to write that I had the Snickers bar. So it's
true.
one of those, or you know what? Or I just ate half the Snicker bar. So this time's not that bad. I only had half the Snicker bar. But it's that accountability that's important.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try that out, not only for the accountability, but also like some nights, the reason I end up going for those foods is not only, it's not like I want this nostalgia trip. It's also just easy. It's easy to call up and get a pizza, you know what I mean? And it's sometimes it's harder to throw a chicken breast and some veggies on yeah, and start cooking it
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
So,
Well, you know what? The remedy to that is take one day a week, right? And say, I'm going to
yes.
set apart 3 hours and I'm going to meal prep.
Hell yeah.
Because at least, and look, we do it enough that's like, do we always have those meal preps? No, but they're there. There's no that, you know what, let's go order Chinese or let's go whatever.
Right.
No, there's food in the refrigerator, right? So I think if you do that, I think that would be smart.
Yeah. Hell yeah,
And
dude.
it's super easy. You know what I do? Look, I go, okay, I have three proteins. I'm gonna have some chicken, I'm gonna have some meat, and I don't know, some pork. Okay. Then I'll get one of those rice packages that's like brown rice and quinoa, right? And I'll do that with some corn or something, and then that's super variety. I'll put together some mushrooms, some onions, and some broccoli, and there's the other option for the other side. So I think that if you have a little plan in place, right? Well, okay, this is the day, and these are the things I'm going to have. Then you go ahead and do it. Of course, look, there's going to be a night where it's like, dude, I really want a pizza. You really want a pizza, and then you know what I mean. That day you have that pizza, but it's not. You also have that option. Well, you know what? Yeah, I know the pizza's easy, but it's not as easy. I want to eat now. Like the food
Right.
is ready now. I don't have to wait for someone to come in and bring me the food.
True. Hell yeah, dude.
Mm.
And the other thing that you do, from what I understand, in my, I just started following you on social
Yeah.
media, that I noticed you do, and I actually would love to learn more about,
Mhm.
is you supplement like different types of mushrooms. So not
Yeah.
only did we let out the gate talking about
Yeah. Yeah.
microdosing
Yeah. Yeah.
psilocybin
Yeah.
mushrooms, but tell us about some of the other mushrooms that, like, I saw, like lion's mane, and some I've never even heard of,
Definitely.
you
No,
know.
yeah. Look, lion's made. Like lion's made is even if you don't microdose, lion's made is the medicine that Mother Nature, the earth, God, whoever you believe in, gave us to help our brain power. So it's funny you ask. I like to work with Microboost. They do this one that's again for brain. So it's cordyceps. and lion's mane. The cordyceps again help for the brain power.
Is that like a
Have
pill?
this one. This, yeah, these are
Or
gel caps.
okay,
These are
cool.
gel caps, right? They have them in gel caps, but again, you can get them in pills. You can get them. There's some people that cultivate their own lion's mane, right, and then use that. They can cook with it, or then they dry it and then they powder it, and that way they do that. There's also an immunity one. It's got turkey tail, shaga, and reishi. Reishi's great um for inflammation. Changa's also good for cognitive connections. So there's all these bunch of mushrooms that are out. People obviously think mushrooms and, oh, wait a minute, hold on a second, but the supplementation of the mushrooms is really important. And there's tons of ways of getting it now. They make this mushroom coffee. A lot of coffee, which is really good and has a lot of benefits and a lot of good nutrients in there. So I'm not sure if you've seen the movie Fantastic Fungi. Yeah, so
No.
obviously it's such a great entry point for people to realize that mushrooms have, so much potential, like so much potential to do great things, including heal us if we use them the right way.
Hell yeah. Well, you had mentioned that, well, last time we spoke, you were at
Yeah,
like a conference. Do you have
yeah,
any
yeah.
upcoming events that any listeners might be able to connect you at or connect with you at or just look out for in the future?
For sure. There's a great event that I'm actually on the board. It's coming up October 19th and 20th. We're going to be in DC. Cole, you're not far from DC, right?
I'm about
Oh
12
yeah.
hours, but I've been there
Well, that's
before.
true. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so Canadelic,
Oh, nice.
is
Yeah.
yeah. So it's between obviously cannabis and psychedelics, and the idea is really bring this message to the doorsteps of the Capitol, to the doorsteps of the White House, and
Lose you, Caesar.
using them.
Oh, there you
No,
are.
you there?
I lost
All
you
right.
for just for a second,
Sorry about
but
that.
oh, it's all
So
good.
I was talking about the DC event. The DC event, we want to take this right to the Capitol, right to DC, right to the White House, days before the election, to say, look, we're responsible adults using psychedelics as performance enhancers, right? They're life performance enhancers, and we're mothers, we're fathers, we're doctors, we're lawyers, we're entrepreneurs, we're butchers, we're the guy behind Starbucks on the counter. We're a whole bunch of people who are using these medicines with intentions. We're using them knowing that there's integration that's to be done, are desperately in need of psychedelic therapy. So the idea is to really bring this message and really bring it loud to the nation's capital. We're going to have politicians there. We'll have thought leaders in the space. We'll have the latest in clinical trials and clinical studies. It's funny. I'm talking to a gentleman on Monday out of the University of Mississippi, who is developing, because again, look, Cole, part of the problem with microdosing is that as a society, we're so used to going to a doctor who's going to write a prescription. And then you're going to go to pharmacy, and then you're going to get that little opaque bottle with the white cap on, and then you're going to take it. And then, unless it's that, I'm not, you crazy? I'm not going to take that. So the idea is to, you know, those psychedelic curious people, show them that there's other ways, right? That there's other ways to do this. And I think if we really bring this message to the Capitol, we can get, we can get this moving. We can get this moving in the right direction, because it can definitely help a lot of people. It could help so many people.
Yeah. And another event that people can catch both of us at least right now, they're weekly, is I just have to give a shout out because this is how we connected. And I just wanted to give Dennis a little bit of props because,
Yeah.
he's making these connections. The Mycopreneur Incubator, if you want to
Yeah. Yeah.
get in
Yeah.
touch with Dennis on Mycopreneur, our listeners can go to mycopreneur.com. Looks like his Instagram button is up here in the top right hand corner, or you could check out his podcast. And he hosts this weekly incubator, which I just gotta say is so awesome. That's how I heard about you. Why I had to connect with you on LinkedIn and get you on the show ASAP, just to get my listeners aware, put Caesar on their radar. So
But also Dennis, right? And because it's
absolutely.
he is right, because he is this voice of reason, He's his total voice of reason. He calls it like he sees it. He presents himself as the court gesture, right? And the court gesture is the guy who can tell the king that his ass smells like farts, and that the queen, you know what I mean, eats donkey, and no one can do anything. You know what I mean? No one. He's just, they tried to shadow ban him and block him on Instagram, and he's like, okay, fine. My people are gonna find me. My people are gonna. He's not doing this for fame. He's not doing this. He's doing it because he's doing it with his heart, and he's doing it um, because he wants to educate people, and he's doing it because he believes in the people in the space, and he's doing it because he just wants people to have fun and make these connections. I mean, these are all wonderful connections, you know. And it's so funny because it's micropreneur. Um, it's about that mycelial network, right? And we talked about it, Cole. We're all mushrooms. Like every single human is a mushroom, and we have these opportunities to break out and make these mycelial connections with other humans. Connections are we going to make? Are we going to make positive connections, loving connections, connections that we help each other grow? Or are we going to sort of not make solid connections and sort of nasty? And that's what you're going to get back, and you're not going to grow as a mushroom. So I think what Dennis does is beautiful, and he's just. I'm not sure. The story with him is funny. When I first came across Dennis, um, I had a really weird impression because I caught the last end of a soundbite. I caught the last bit of a snippet, sort of the typical taking something out of context, right? And all I heard was, well, I'm talking to the latest CEOs of all these bio companies and whatever. And I'm like, who's like, that's a bit arrogant, you know what I mean? Of like, look at me, I'm the one talking to these, and it's sort of whatever. But his content was so fun that I'm like, okay, this, somehow a couple of weeks later, I listened to the whole episode of that podcast. And what he's talking about is when he was telling his parents he was getting into the psychedelic space, and his parents were like, what are you even talking about? Like, are you crazy? Have you smoked so much dope that you think that that's your future? And he was telling them, no, I'm actually doing podcasts where I'm interviewing the guys, the CEOs of these biomedical, firms, and what they're doing and how this is advancing. And this isn't the psychedelics of the 60s. This is the psychedelics of Johns Hopkins University and NYU and Berkeley and Stanford. And it was, you know what I mean? It was then, and I was like, oh, this guy's awesome. And I sent him some gear personally at the Canadelic in Miami a year and a half ago, and he rocked our gear on stage, and he sort of shouted me out a couple of times, and I'm like, he's so awesome. He's a wonderful human being. He's just,
Yeah.
and I sort of sidetracked on what I was talking about, and I remembered about the biotech, about the microdosing in people, with the having to go to a doctor. The guy from the University of Mississippi is developing these time release capsules that people would get injected, and then over the month it would release their microdosing protocol and their dose on time. They don't have to worry about it sort of being, oh, I got to take this, and am I one day on, 2 days off? Am I sort of, is it today a day? Is it today not a day? Should I take some? Should I not take some? It's so again, all these advancements in medicine and that are going on, having to do with psychedelics, I think is amazing.
Yeah. It's wild. That is
Mm,
wild. It's
mm.
almost like taking what you just said was like, I don't even know if it was a myth, but do you remember hearing the myth? Well, let's call it a myth for now, because I don't know that it's proven or not. Of if you took LSD, it like gets in your spine, and that throughout your life it could like release just
Release
randomly.
stuff.
Obviously a little bit different, but that's
Yeah,
what it
yeah, but I
reminded me
remember
of.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember. And look, I grew up in that stigma of psychedelics, right? Of psychedelics are bad, and it was done, by tripping, and it was just, no, you shouldn't do that. And then considering, look, I grew up in the 80s in Miami, so there was Coke to go around. They were giving out in boxes of Kellogg's. You know what I mean? So, but somehow psychedelics were like, oh no, no way, ooh no, that's for crazy people. That's for people that just want to lose their mind. And it's like now I'm like, wait a minute, like holy, I wish I would have been awakened in that sense such a long time ago. So it's crazy how things are changing, right? How now it's like it's more accepted. People are talking about it, and look, we're having a podcast about it. If 10 years ago someone would have said, Cole, you're gonna have a podcast and you're gonna have a guy talking about psychedelic use, and you'd be like, nah, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I'd be like, what are you smoking? And can I get some?
Exactly.
But maybe not even then,
Exactly.
because you said about 10 years ago. Yeah. So,
Mm,
but yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of a crazy thought. But yeah, one more time, kudos to Dennis, because yeah, he's way too kind, and has connected me with you and a few other people that are going to be on the show. So I say that all to say, if you want to get involved, try to reach out and join the incubator so that you can get connected with, well,
Yeah.
me, Caesar, and some of these other folks. So
I think they're super smart because it really lays out. Um, there's a lot of opportunities in this space. There's a lot of opportunities moving forward in this space, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot of challenges, right? And we got to overcome those challenges to really be able to get to the true opportunities, and the opportunities are going to, create generational wealth for us in money, right? To me, wealth is experience, wealth is education, wealth is the connections that you make, wealth is the community that you flourish and that you are part of. That's wealth to me, right? But there are going to be a lot of opportunities, but there's going to be a lot of challenges. So Dennis putting these together is really wonderful. That he can do that because it opens up these conversations. I mean, today he's going to talk about Amanita muscaria, so it's sort of, there's these opportunities to do things with Amanita, but there's also these challenges that come with it. So they're really important. They're really, really important. And the other thing I love is the true diversity that's in there, right? You have mycologists, you have, entrepreneurs, you have influencers, you have accountants, you have people who are just, into the psychedelics. So it's really cool. I think it's really cool what he's doing.
yeah, it really is crazy to see the wall of faces and where they're calling in from. Like, dude, you called in
Mm.
from a beach one time. It was like,
I
what?
did.
Yeah.
I couldn't miss it, man. I couldn't miss it. Those are great conversations. And he's, like we said, he's anything that he's doing, I'm going to support. I'm going to definitely support because he's a good guy. He's one of those, again. Look, I talk about it. There's two types of people in this world. There's people who manifest love you wealth, right? And there's people who manifest fuck you wealth. Dennis is all love you wealth. And those are the type of people that we really should try to make those mycelial connections with, right? Those people who are creating, love you wealth. And the FU wealth comes in different forms, right? FU wealth can be the dad that's working so hard. He's working 12 hours a day, whatever, to make sure that he's got a Mercedes and that his kid's got a Volvo when he turns 16, and then they're missing a vacation, but then the kids grow up and it's like they don't even come home. They have daughters who don't even talk to their dads because the dad never took a second to say, you know what, I'm going to take her out on a date. I'm going to take my kid out to, play catch. They were always chasing that FU money, you know, and you lose sight of it. So I really love people who, they have their feet on the ground and are manifesting love you wealth and all the love you wealth, like all of it, like all of it.
Amen to that, my friend. Amen
Mm,
to that.
mm.
And I just want to say again for listeners, cultivatingwisdom.net. I want to give us some space between going into our next
Yeah,
incubator
yeah.
meeting, but I wanted to give you the space. First of all, I just wanted to say I've really enjoyed our conversation today. I knew I would. I was really excited for it. So would love to have you back on sometime.
Oh,
But again,
yes.
I want to give you the space before we go. Anything you're working on or anything you just want to shout out before we go?
Yeah, again,
Um,
look, it's sort of it's creating this community, right? I have a Facebook group called Adults Who Microdose. Tap in wherever you can, whether it's, look, I'm gonna wear a shirt that says micro, so that when I'm walking in the street, someone says, "Oh, you microdose? I've heard about that. I've read about that. Cultivate me with some wisdom." Or someone says, "Oh, you microdose? So do I. What are you microdosing? I just started microdosing LSD. Really? How's that going? And you know where I can get a reliable source?" Yes, I do, of course. That's the idea, is that we open up the community to people who are curious, right? Who we give them someone to sort of have honest conversations with, and two, we embrace the people who are in the community and say we're all of this, we're all in this together, right? So that's the idea. That the idea of cultivating wisdom is that, I mean, the mushrooms help us to open up that consciousness and cultivate this wisdom that we have. Um, and that as the mushrooms ask me and I ask other people, set buffet tables of wisdom. I mean, Cole, look, you're doing it. You're doing it with your podcast. You set these buffet tables of wisdom, and through them we cultivate a better future. Right? We share this wisdom with people where it's like, oh wow, that's a great tip. Keep myself accountable. Let me write down what I eat, whatever. So it didn't have to do anything with microdosing, but it's sort of it's this wisdom that we can share as humans that we need to, because my goal is that like we've stopped handing down wisdom and all we do is hand down these things. This is what we do. This is what we do to kids. We hand this down. We just go ahead. That's so, more time for humanity. Look, this conversation is so powerful, right? Because it's two humans just connecting, you know what I mean? And yes, we're using the advancements of technology to have this connection, right? But it's used for good. It's used for something good. So, hats off to you, man. And like I tell people, look, you have to realize that today is the best day of your life. Today. It doesn't get any better than today. It doesn't. Because the one in the back rear view mirror, that's gone. It's never coming back. And the one in front of us, we don't know. So, I've taken it upon myself the last couple of days. And if I leave people with something, is that try at least once, twice, or three times a week to leave your phone out of your room. That we don't become this humanity that the first thing we look at is a phone and the last thing we look at is a phone. Like, is that what we're turning into? Like, no. So my new thing is I'm not getting to my phone until I go to the bathroom first. I look at myself in the mirror, as disgusting as I look in the morning with hair everywhere, and just look at myself until I smile and go, Caesar, you're such a badass. Today is going to be the best day of your life. If you can do that, man, you're invincible. You're unstoppable. And yes, we're going to hit obstacles. Of course we are. But I go back to the same thing. Once we overcome, the opportunities are going to be there. Once you overcome those challenges, the opportunities are going to be there. So it's, look, I learned this at a later age at 55, that and go, whoa, like I have everything I need right now at this second. So if I could leave people with that, to go out and, continue to cultivate wisdom, spread much love. That's what the mushrooms taught me. Everything comes through love. Everything comes through love. I mean, I worked with a guy once who he would walk around with a scowl, you know what I mean? Big dude, like six something, was 300 pounds, and just walking around like this. And he asked me, he's like, why are people like scared of me? Like, dude, if you look at yourself in the mirror, like if you just smile a little bit and walk with a little bit of love, right, you're gonna see the difference. Cole, a week later, he's like, dude, you don't understand. I didn't realize my smile was that powerful. Like me being happy and joyous and being in just, this is the best day of my life. It's like people that would never talk to me started to talk to me. People who before wouldn't approach me started asking me questions. I was like, it's all how we lead. It's the vibration we give off. And if we give off positive energy, it comes back. It definitely comes back. So thank you, Cole, for your positive energy. Thank you for bringing this vibrational connections to life, not just with me but with all your guests. And thank you for everything you do, man. You're fascinating. Like, you're literally like fascinating. So I love people like you. I love people who sort of really push the boundaries. I love people who just get out there and do things and do things. You're like an innovator. Like, you do things that people haven't done before, right? Which is super cool. We need more young people like you. We need a bunch more young people like that. Smart, intelligent. Go get it. Let's do it. So hats off to you, my brother.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And you said a lot of powerful things. I just wanted to just dwell on one before we go that I think you're really making a huge difference on. And I think you realize this because you kind of acknowledged it, but I just wanted to spin it a different way, just because it resonated with me again, um, in my own personal way. So I remember one of the first times I went to a legal dispensary, when I looked at like the other people in there, I was like, wow, these are just a bunch of normal people. And I feel bad saying that out loud because of course they are. Of course they are a bunch of normal
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
I was actually stuck in that stigma. That was a way that I was stuck in the stigma. I expected people to look a certain type of way. What the hell
yeah,
does that
yep,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Right?
of course.
And so I guess what I'm saying is I love your shirt because if anybody is like me, and I think there are people out there that are like stuck in a stigma and viewing it through that lens, when they see somebody, and this is meant to be a compliment again, because it's like, what do you
Yeah,
mean
of
by this when
course.
I say this? But it's like when somebody looks like you, like normal, like then they
Yeah,
see you with a
yeah,
shirt, they're like, I mean, Caesar, he's like, I just was talking to him this whole time, looked down and realized he had a microdosing shirt on.
yeah.
You know, I guess
Yeah,
what I'm saying is it's like small things like that really break the barrier, I think,
definitely,
or at least
definitely.
start putting cracks in that
Yeah,
foundation.
yes, yes.
Which, yeah, so I think little things like that, I just love that that's something you do. And I want to just say for folks that didn't realize it earlier, at cultivatingwisdom.net, if you'd like to get your very own microdosing shirt, I think I'm going to
And
have to
let's do
because,
this, Cole. Yeah, let's do this. I'm gonna put together right now a Cole 20 discount. So all listeners to 20% off. Okay. And they can get their microdosing shirt. So don't order yours yet until I get that
cool.
discount code up. And that way, you know what I mean? Put it in the show notes and we'll get people rocking the shirt.
Yeah,
There's a
I
whole
think
bunch of
I,
other cool stuff on there. If you look up, so this is a note. If you look up Lucy, look in the search bar there. Lucy.
Lucy.
This is ode to my microdosing um, protocol with LSD.
Uh-huh.
So obviously, people LSD. Lucy was called Lucy because Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So LSD, I call it Lucy, and my daughter's name's Lucy. So we have this shirt that's got the molecule of LSD, and underneath it says "I love Lucy."
I love it. I love it. And I love
Yeah.
things like this because it's like it doesn't scream it,
No.
but for people
No.
that know, they know.
The people that know, they know. The people that
Yep.
know, they know. And the people that don't know, they're like, wait a minute, what is that?
Yeah.
What is Lucy? Who is
Right.
Lucy?
And then that's an educational experience. There you go.
Exactly. That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. Cool, man. Yeah, I'd appreciate it. So give me a couple of minutes. I'll put together a nice little discount code. So all the all the cool can wear their microdosing and I love Lucy shirts.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get maybe this red. I'm a big fan of this
Oh,
red. Maybe
nice.
even
I
this
like that.
green. I like the
I like
green
that.
too.
I
So
like that.
yeah.
I rock a military green one that I have too. My son serves. So anytime I can, get any colors on there that are emblematic of that is always important.
Well, hey, thank your son for his service,
I
and
will.
thank
I will.
you, Caesar, for your time. This won't be the
Of
last time we
course. No,
connect.
it won't. It won't, Cole. It definitely won't. Again, thank you for what you're doing, man. I appreciate you. I see you. I see what you're doing, man, and it's awesome. So hats off to you, my brother. And like I tell people, today's the best day of my life. Cole, thank you for being part of the best day of my life, my brother.
Bro. I'll see you soon in the incubator. Thank you
Appreciate
so
it,
much
man.
for
All
being
right,
here,
brother.
dude.
Be
Take
good. Sure
care.
thing. Ciao, ciao.